Okay, welcome everybody to our Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority Youth One-Stop Affiliate Weekly Program. And today is what day?
Thursday.
Thursday.
The first.
Take too long.
Thursday, September 1st.
September 1st.
September 1st.
What year?
2016.
And what's the weather like?
Hot.
Hot. Okay, so we're in Las Vegas. The reason we start out this way is this is being broadcast live across the world on YouTube. So this will be available on YouTube. So whose camera shot here? No one? Okay. Well, the camera's only going to be on me, so you don't have to worry. But you can go back and look at this or have your friends look at it in the future at any time in history. And we do that for the same reason we take notes. And that is because the human brain is not designed to remember stuff. So when we started, I said, who was here before? Remember that? I said, what do you remember? What do you remember? What do you remember? What did they mostly say, other than Tim? Nothing. Okay, what does that mean?
They forgot.
I'm boring?
No, they
No.
forgot.
They
Bad
forgot,
memory.
okay? Because our brains are designed to forget 70% of what we learn within 24 hours if we don't review it. Why? Why would our brains be designed to do that? Why wouldn't they be like a hard drive?
The human brain only uses about 12%.
No, that's false. So we'll talk about that. Remember that, because that's an important thing, because that's a bit of information that a lot of people think is true. It's completely false. We use our whole brain. We'll talk about that. Why would our brain be designed to forget most of what we learn?
We can only remember so much.
Well, why? Why isn't it like a hard drive? Okay, the reason is because we experience so much stuff that we'd run out of space. Do you really need to remember how many times when you're brushing your teeth? The whole thing? Do you really need to remember what you had for breakfast? Who drove here? Who drove here? Okay. Do you really need to remember every second of that drive? No. And our brains don't know what we need to remember and what we don't. It's just information. So if you review it, what does your brain kind of think? Yeah, it's important. I need to remember this. Okay? So our brains, we have stuff coming at us all the time. We're not aware of most of the stuff that's going through our brains. Like, for example, if it got really hot in here, would we start perspiring only after we said, boy, it's hot in here? No. Why would we start sweating before that? Because our brains are doing this and we're not really even aware. Have you ever been in a room where there's a lot of people in the room and then somebody says your name and you hear it? Yeah, okay. Part of our brain is always listening for our name. When I was your age, in airports before people had these, if you're in an airport and somebody wanted to reach you, there would be constantly going on, Mr. So-and-so, you have a call, would you please go to the white courtesy phone? Mr. So-and-so, you have a call, would you please go to the white courtesy phone? And it turns out you could be doing whatever you're doing. If your name is called, boom, you're immediately aware of it. Why? Because parts of our brain are doing that. We can't remember all of that stuff. Our brains are not designed to remember it because we don't need to. But the other side of that is our brains don't automatically know what we do need to remember. So how are we going to remember things? Taking notes. How else? Review what?
Notes.
Okay, so we do these so that you can see a second by second review. Okay, what if you don't take notes? How do you review it?
You don't.
Okay, well, how do you? Not how do you not? You try to remember it, right? It's not like you're going to walk out of this room and say, what just happened to me? Right? You're going to remember parts of it. And if you So it's like this in your brain. Gap, gap, gap. And then over time, over the day, what starts happening is these things get like this. And then by tomorrow morning, if you don't review it, it's like this. And if you want to do an experiment, when you go home tonight and watch TV, your favorite show, when it's over, get out a piece of paper, say it's an hour show, which is really how many minutes?
60 minutes?
No.
So the actual
1 hour TV show is actually how long?
Like what, 40 minutes?
Like
plus
44?
commercials?
Yeah, 44, 45 minutes. Okay? So you just watched an hour show, 45-minute show. Go get a piece of paper, write down everything you remember about that show, and you won't be able to write for 5 minutes. Okay? Why? Because our brains are not designed to be like hard drives. Okay? And even in parts of the show, you say, oh, I really like that. If you try to write down the dialogue after, you probably can't. But if you watch the show again, do you know what's going to happen? Yeah, because we stitch together these things. We don't remember stuff. And the further we get away, the less we remember. So after 2 days, now you forgot 70% of the 30%. And if you don't review it, you're eventually going to forget everything. So you can review stuff in your brain, just thinking about it. So if you're going to get on the bus, or you guys are going to do whatever, when you're leaving, what you should do is think about this. That's not the best thing to do. The best thing to do is be taking notes. And the best thing to do on taking notes is to write down everything. If this was a class at Harvard or Stanford, I would be talking to the tops of people's heads. Why?
Everyone will be writing everything you should.
Exactly. Why would they do that?
So they can remember.
Exactly. That's why they would do it. And so here's a key little simple thing to know. What is the difference between a good student and a not good student?
Grades.
Okay? Because of what? Why do they get better grades?
Take a
They
listen.
review.
There would be, yeah.
No, not because they review. No.
Because their brain remembers more.
Yeah, because they remember more. That's it. The difference between a good student and a not good student is the good student remembers more. So when they take a test, they remember a fact, they remember a formula, they remember a process, they remember a name, they remember something. Now, why do they remember more?
Reviews.
Okay, one reason, and the main reason is because they review or they practice. So I was always playing sports. I would not, but I couldn't play sports until after I did my homework. So how do you think I did my homework if I had 10 questions? I would get the 10 done and I'd go out and play. Right? Would you think that's what I would do? Okay, you've got homework. You can't go out and play baseball until your homework is done. Okay, well, I'm going to get my homework done as fast as I can because what do I really want to do? Play sports. Okay. Now, if I was a really good student and I had 10 questions, what would I do?
Take your time.
Take my time and probably do what?
More than that.
More than 10. And I'd really want to understand it. Why is this the quadratic equation? You know, I'd really want to understand what it was. So I would really know it. That's the only difference between people at Harvard and people not at Harvard. They remember more. The difference between successful people and not successful people is they remember more. They remember how to do things. They remember names. They remember processes. They remember what. So if you were at your tire shop and you had to balance some tires, right? And your boss showed you. Okay, so write this down, Navy SEALs. So the best way to learn is the way the Navy SEALs do it. Do one, learn one, teach one. Okay? So mostly what happens, you go someplace, you're in school, you're at your job, your boss says, okay, this is how you balance a tire. And what do you do? Watching, right? And then they say, now you do it. Can you usually do it? Not after the first time. Most people can't. They have no experience doing anything. Or if it's on the internet, I'm teaching people how to do something on the cloud. And they say, okay, well, how do we do it? Okay, I say, okay, we'll go there, click on this, then click on that, then do this, and do this, and do that, and do that. And they're just following instructions. They're just doing what I say to do. If I say, okay, now you do it, nobody can do it. Because they were just following instructions. They weren't really learning. Learning is when you actually can do it on your own. And then the third step is when you teach someone. So if you're a Navy SEAL, first you do one. Somebody say, okay, do this, do that, do these other things, and they're showing you. And you say, okay, now you do it. And that might take a long time because you forget steps, you don't do something right, or you don't have the best technique. And they say, okay, now you teach Marjorie. Where do you learn the most? Which of these steps do you learn the most? Yeah. When you're at this stage is when you learn the most. So this is ultimately what you want to get to. Now, it turns out, though, this is a very important step. This is really important because you can say, well, why don't we just skip this step here? Why don't we go just a two-step process? Then I'm not going to talk you through it. We're going to just do it the first time slow, and you're going to learn it. Why should we do this?
Because it's experience.
What? What experience?
Learn more.
How are you learning? If I'm saying do this, do this, do that, do that, and I say, okay, Tim, now you do it.
Well,
And you have no idea.
Well, if you're doing it first and showing me, I'm learning at the same time.
How are you learning? Why are you learning?
You remember.
You're not going to remember. You remember here.
You remember parts of it, though, don't you? And then that learn one is where the stitching finally.
Okay, so okay, so here's the target. And so you're about right there. Not bad. Okay. In our brains, we have certain type of cells called what? Okay, well, in Israel they call them neurons, but they're neurons. What does a neuron look like?
Antennas on the end.
It looks like a tree. And it has branches. It could have 10,000 branches. These branches are called dendrites. Anybody ever heard that term? And at the end of the dendrite is what? Called what?
Receptors.
It's called a synapse.
That's
And that's where the receptors are. Okay? So what happens in your brain is you have all of these neurons, and dendrites touch each other, and you just have a bunch of these. Where they touch each other, little chemicals are transmitted from this neuron to the next one, from this synapse to the next synapse. And it goes at about 400 feet per second, which is pretty fast, right, in your brain. Now, how many neurons do we have? Do we have any idea? Okay, so we have about 80. How much is that? Huh?
80 billion.
80 billion. So we have about 80 billion neurons in our brain, typical person. About 80 billion neurons. Connections. How do we? So it sounds like you've had science. Did you have biology?
Yeah.
Okay.
And psychology.
Okay. So at Harvard, if you study one neuron, it's science. If you study two neurons, it's psychology. Why?
Because if you're studying one, then you're just studying the actual cell.
Correct.
If you're studying two, you're studying the interaction between the two.
Yeah, good. Okay, so we have about 80 billion neurons. And the way I'll have to send you a text message. It's my 3 o'clock. So the way we know that is what they did is they took a brain and they dissolved it in a soap detergent solution. So they got rid of everything except neurons. And then they mixed it up in a solution of, say, water, a special kind of water. And then they took a test tube out. And then they took a little drop out. And they counted the neurons that were in that drop. So would they be able to come up with an accurate number here? Yeah. And then did it many, 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 many times. Okay, so because if you stir up that solution enough, right, you have an even distribution of 80 billion neurons in this, say, 5 gallons of water, right? So it's evenly dispersed. Then you take a test tube out, you should have the same ratio, right? That the percentage of neurons in here should be the same as the neurons in there. And then if you take one drop, that should have the same distribution of neurons too, right? Right, Raymond?
Yes.
Okay. And so you get it down to a number that's small enough, and so you say, well, if in one drop there's 80,000 neurons, then in 10 gallons there must be 80 billion neurons. And then they started doing that with all different types of brains. And what do you think they found? That our brains were similar to other brains? Okay, well, they found that our brains are the same as primate brains. What's a primate? Monkeys, gorillas, orangutans, chimpanzees. Okay, we're primates. Our brains and primate brains, all primate brains are basically the same. But rodent brains are different. What's a rodent? Yeah, okay, their neurons are different. What happens in their brain is the bigger the brain, the bigger the neurons. In our brain, the bigger the brain, the more neurons. So what they found in our brain is compared to like a gorilla brain, we have more neurons because we have a bigger brain. But compared to a rodent brain, we have a lot more neurons in that amount of space because their neurons are bigger. So they found that out. That was an interesting thing. But the other thing they found out is we have a lot more neurons than any other primate or anything else, any other living thing. We have a lot more. Yeah.
What about dolphins and whales?
Okay. So they are sort of like other primates. So they have a lot of neurons, but nothing compared to what we have. And I don't know the numbers, but you can get them on YouTube. And it's like this. There's some number of neurons that if you have enough neurons, all of a sudden something really special happens. So you get to experience reality in a different way. So all other living beings can only experience reality objectively. So objective reality, what is this here? Yeah, it's the ground, it's the floor. What's this? It's some kind of hard substance. Like what would a dog say it is? Would a dog say this is a desk or a table? No.
See, it's like a ledge or something.
Okay. So for all other living things, water is water, dirt is dirt, food is food, threats are threats. They live in an objective reality world. For us, what is water other than, how would we describe it other than something you drink to stay alive?
It's a source, power source.
Okay, so we have this other thing, and that's called subjective reality. Okay, so what does subjective mean?
It's more than just one objective.
Well, so objective means everybody agrees what it is, right? Water is water, the way animals would see things. Subjective reality would be what? Yes, it's kind of like the story you put to it. Okay, it's not objectively real. So if I say this is a desk, well, a desk might mean something different to me than to you. For me, it could be that's a place where I study. To you, it could be that's a place where I eat or I fall asleep during the day. Okay, so here would be an example. Let's say I have a little green piece of paper, right? And there's a chimpanzee. And the chimpanzee has bananas. And I say to the chimpanzee, can I trade you this $1 for a banana? Okay, what is the banana to the chimpanzee in objective reality? It's food, okay? I give him this. I say, I just want one banana.
It's a meaningless object.
So what does the chimpanzee do with it?
Rip it up or
Smells it, right? Might taste it, might rub it on its thing. And so I give the chimpanzee, I say, can I trade you this for a banana? And the chimpanzee licks it, tastes it, does this, and what's the chimpanzee going to do? Is he going to say, okay?
No,
Why?
because it's not objective.
Because in objective reality, this has no value. If I take this into 7-Eleven and I say, can I have a banana? Just one banana for this. What are they going to say?
Right, right.
2 of those.
Well, they're 29 cents. Okay? Huh? Yeah, take 2. Okay, but I say, I just want one banana. Can I have a banana for this? What are they going to say?
Whatever.
Yeah, sure. Okay? Why? Because we believe this has what?
More value.
It has value. This isn't just a green piece of paper. Let's say I say to the chimpanzee, I'm really hungry and I'm going to starve to death if you don't give me the banana. If you give me that banana, when you die, you're going to go to chimpanzee heaven. What's the chimpanzee going to say?
They definitely understand it.
Gonna look at you like.
Wouldn't you rather spend all eternity having all the bananas you want once you die?
This chimpanzee doesn't know that, doesn't think that way.
Okay, well, why not?
Objective reality.
Okay, yeah, and it's because it doesn't have enough neurons to be able to do that. What if I say to the chimpanzee, there's a law that says you have to give me a banana because I'm older than you?
Doesn't
He's
matter.
still not gonna understand.
Doesn't have the ability to understand it. So we are able to, because we have these neurons, we're able to live in a thing of subjective reality. So we create stories, like little green pieces of paper are money, or little plastic cards are money, or there are things called contracts.
That holds money.
Okay? If I said to a chimpanzee, let's sign a contract. You give me the banana today, and I'll give you 2 bananas on Wednesday.
Wait till you're break.
Okay? Okay? So it all comes down to neurons. Whenever they cut open dissect a human brain compared to a primate brain, the only difference is this. We don't have a special transmitter in there that violates the laws of physics that can enable us to communicate to an invisible man in the sky. Okay, sorry to tell you about that, but that's true. The only thing we have is so many neurons that we're able to create stories that we all believe are true. And that's one of the great things about how humans are able to do things, is because we can live in this subjective reality. We can all be willing to sacrifice our personal pleasure for the greater good. Can chimpanzees do that? No. Now, but let's ask this question. If you're on a desert island, not a desert island, deserted island, and it's just you and a chimpanzee, who is probably going to be better at surviving?
Chimpanzee.
Okay, why?
Because he's born with spot.
Objective reality.
Well, yeah, so here's an interesting thing. When there were pirates, what was one of the worst punishments that you could do for a pirate who broke the rules?
Desertion.
What was the punishment? You go to a deserted island, you get their stuff, you throw them off the ship, and if you wanted to have mercy on them, you give them a gun with one bullet. Not a bullet, a ball, musket.
Spear.
Why? Because they would kill themselves. So that they could kill themselves because they were afraid of what?
Monkeys.
Isolation.
Gorillas.
Monsters, the devil. You're somebody of pirate age, and we believed in spirits and stuff like that. And you're on this deserted island, and you hear weird noises in the middle of the night.
Cannibals.
No, it's not. It's not people. It's the devil. And so the common practice was, if you like the guy, well, you broke the rules, we have to throw you off the ship, but we're going to put you on this deserted island, and maybe a ship will come by before you die, or here's your gun, and here's a musket ball. They wouldn't have it loaded, right? Rockets.
Flintlock, that's what they use a lot.
Okay, so here's this and here's that, and you decide what you're going to do. Now, would a chimpanzee ever consider committing suicide?
No.
Why?
Because it cares about its life.
They're not scared.
They don't have this thing of there's devils and ghosts and monsters and all of that. So if we were on a desert island, there was a chimpanzee on the desert island. We all agree they would probably do better, right? Not desert island, deserted island. They'd do better, right? What if it was 2 humans and 2 chimpanzees? Who would do better?
No.
Okay, what if it was 5 humans and 5 chimpanzees?
No.
We eating
It
good.
won't matter.
They will eat them.
Huh?
It will still be them.
Why?
Because they're better off surviving than we are.
No. Okay. So So why would it be us?
Because more like thoughts and ideas could like run off each other.
We can cooperate. Okay, they can't really cooperate. Now,
Probably conflict.
huh?
It'd probably conflict with
So the way chimpanzees do cooperate in the sense of they say, are you a good a chimpanzee or a bad chimpanzee? If I know you, I can decide whether I like you. But if I don't know you, then I don't like you, and I can't cooperate with you because I don't know you. Can we cooperate with people we don't know?
Yep.
Yeah, we do it all the time.
going right now.
Yeah, we do it all the time. When you read a book, okay, when you watch a TV show, that's a form of cooperation. So, well, if there was probably 3 of us on a deserted island, compared to 3 chimpanzees, we probably would be able to do a lot better, maybe even 2. Now, let's say, what would happen if we took 50,000 chimpanzees and put them to watch the Super Bowl?
Chaos.
Okay, complete chaos. Okay, could we get them to say, hey, just watch the game?
No.
No.
Okay, they can't do it, so we can. And the reason is why? Neurons. So the secret to being successful ultimately comes down to the neurons in your brain. And the neurons in your brain are very good at doing things, but they don't know what's important on their own. They only know because you tell it it's important in a few different ways. One way, the best way, is repetition. So is anybody here play an instrument? Okay, what do you play? Okay, so what did you have to do to be good at the violin?
Practice.
Practice. And so what happens in your brain is if it's this neuron here connecting to this neuron, connecting to this one, and going out like this, every time you play that piece, the exact same neurons are being fired. And then ultimately you get to the point where you could be thinking about something else while you're playing the piece, right? Just like driving a car. Because you have created this habit in your brain, and your neurons can do it without you consciously doing it. That's why if somebody says to you, boy, I can't remember my memory's going bad, I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That means you can have breakfast and not have to remember it. How about brushing your teeth? What are you supposed to do while you're brushing your teeth?
Sing happy birthday 2 times.
Okay. What are you supposed to do while you're brushing your teeth?
Just brush your teeth.
And your mind is blank? Your mind is blank?
I think about other stuff.
That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to think of what you're going to do in the future. Are you supposed to be thinking, okay, this tooth, this tooth, this
Happy
tooth?
birthday.
Yeah, okay, so that's what you do. Why do you do that? What was the reason for that?
So you know that you're brushing your teeth longer.
Exactly. Okay, that's what you teach kids to do. And you remember that because you did it all the time, right?
I used to have one of the toothbrushes that did it for me.
Okay, so there you go. So in our brains, if you repeat something, this is called a neural what? Pathway. And the more often you do it, the stronger the neural pathway gets. And if you stop doing it for a time, what happens?
Degrees.
Yeah, it degrades. And let's say you do something to hurt your neurons. Like let's say you get bumped in the head. Let's say somebody pushes the stick in your head. What happens besides that? Well, you don't have any nerves, other kind of nerves in your brain, so your brain doesn't feel it. But you get gaps, right? And like if you have a stroke, what is a stroke?
Blood clot reaches your brain.
Huh?
Blood clot in your brain.
Okay, because what happened? What's the first thing that went wrong? What causes a blood clot? What causes a blood clot? Blood vessel bursts. Okay?
Wow.
And stress, bad diet, something. Usually stress plus bad diet. Smoking, taking drugs, too much drugs. So a blood vessel bursts in your brain. Now what happens if somebody hits your arm really hard? And it starts getting black and you get a bruise, right? And what happens along with the bruise? It gets what?
Sore.
Sore and what?
Pain.
Swollen, right? It gets swollen. Well, because you broke a blood vessel and there's more blood flowing to that area, and it turns blue because you see the more blood that's outside of your vessels is pooling out there, right?
So
And it gets swollen.
Stroke, like the brain swelling.
So when you get a stroke, blood is flowing into your brain. You're getting more volume inside of your brain. Is your skull getting larger?
No.
No.
No. So what has to happen?
It's going to push on your neurons.
It's going to push on your neurons. Exactly. And what happens, do you think, when you crush these things together?
They talk better.
They don't work. Huh?
So they talk better.
No, the opposite. Don't work. So then, what might you have to do in order, oh, I used to know how to play the violin. I got a stroke, or I got a nail stuck in my head, and I can't, and they would pull it out. I can't really play the violin
Learn
anymore.
all over.
Okay, so what happens in your brain, do you think? When you learn all over, what happens?
Starts to
Different
remember.
So it goes to other neurons,
Look for what it
and so you have to create a new neural pathway where that happens. That's why people who have strokes, after years and years of what? Rehab, they can learn to do stuff over. So this is called brain plasticity, the ability for your brain to learn over again. But what does it take? Repetition, yeah, practice and repetition. That's one way. This is Lieutenant. Yes, Lieutenant. Well, I'm teaching in Southern Nevada Regional Housing, YOSA. At 2 o'clock. Good, bye. Okay, so that's Lieutenant from prison. So our brains, so it comes back to neurons. If the neurons don't work, you get a brain trauma, you stop knowing stuff. Therefore, that tends to prove that what? Neurons, it is neurons. And so repetition, but our brains don't automatically know what's important. So one way they know things are important is you keep doing it over and over. What's another way? Does anybody remember the first time they got burned? Like they put their hand on the stove.
Reminder.
How old were you?
I was 4.
Or the first time you put a paper clip in an electrical outlet? Or the first time you got punched in the face? Okay? Some things that are very traumatic, we only need to experience once because our system is called like on a gut level experience. On a gut level experience, car wreck, you only need to have it once and your brain remembers. But in our normal, everyday functioning, we're going to forget 70% of what we learned if we generally don't review it within 24 hours. And so to review it, we have to take notes. So for your futures, the best thing you can do for your futures is take notes. Now, here's an interesting thing. Everybody that goes to a good university is always taking notes. People that aspire to go to some place like CSN, which if anybody's planning to go there, you're wasting your time and money.
Really?
Okay, UNLV, waste of time and money. But if you aspire to go there, you never see anybody taking notes. It's not as bad. I have 6 kids, 5 girls and 1 boy. My 3rd daughter just graduated from high school from Coronado. Anybody knows where that is? Anybody know where Coronado is? Henderson. So, when you're in your senior year, what happens frequently through the year? Universities and schools come and do recruiting, right? Information day. Okay, so,
Including military.
and so the military came. So she was looking at other schools, Jesuit universities, and she had it down to a Jesuit university in Nebraska called Creighton, and a Jesuit university in New Orleans called Loyola. And then was the military day, and the Navy showed up. And when I was in high school, the Navy pitch was join the Navy, see the world. Okay. That's not the Navy pitch anymore. What's the Navy pitch now? You're crazy if you want to go in debt to pay for college. That's what their pitch is. You're crazy if you're going to go into debt to pay for college. How much do you think it costs to go to UNLV?
Too much.
Per year. A year. On their website, if you live at home, they say it's going to cost $16,000 for a year to go to UNLV. What percentage of people graduate in 6 years from UNLV? Within 6 years. Okay, so it's less than 40%. Let's say it's 40%. 6 years. Okay, what's 16,000 times 6?
Too much.
Okay. Well, what's 6 times 6?
7.
What's 6 times 6?
6.
36 plus 60, right? It's 96. $96,000. Why go spend $96,000 if there's a 40% chance you're going to graduate? Now, if you go to college, so what is STEM? STEM.
Science, technology, and engineering, and math.
Okay, that's STEM. So if you pursue a degree in STEM, you have to go to college. You can't not. You must. Most people don't. They do liberal arts. Okay, psychology, communications, business, art, they do that. What percentage of non-STEM people do you think actually end up getting a job doing what their degree is in? 10%. Okay. So if you're not going to college for STEM, there's only a 40% chance you're going to graduate, and only a 10% chance if you do, you're going to actually do what your degree is. But now you spent $96,000 doing that. What else could you have spent with 96? What's one thing you could have spent $96,000 on? A good thing. Okay, house, good thing. Another good thing. You can't say the same good thing. Car is a bad thing. A business, right? What else? Invest. That's a really good thing. Huh?
Obviously, you spend that much on a car, it's a bad thing.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what kind of business?
I would have spent it on an investment.
Like what?
For like a business investment, like, business, engineering.
Sorry, I was falling asleep. What? Good. You got to be faster too. What?
Engineering. Like if you want to be, like work on engineering.
So what's the investment?
Material, tools,
Okay.
equipment, books.
Okay. So wouldn't it be better to invest this in something that's going to make you money than something not?
Barbershop with 10 chairs.
Okay. So maybe, but I want to be very clear. The best thing you can invest in is yourself. Because that's really one thing they can't take away from you. If you invest in somebody else's business, can they take it away?
Yep.
That's the reason I went to law school.
Okay, I have a question. So
Yeah.
what do we do if we shouldn't go to college? If we want to go to college?
I'll talk to you about that in a second. We'll get there. We'll get there. Now, but I'm talking about why UNLV is there. Even if you're going to do STEM. Now, there's some jobs, if you're going to do science, technology, engineering, or math, or teaching, or law, you have to go to college to do that. Any of those, you have to go to college. And if you want to work in a doctor's office, that's, what part of STEM is that?
Science.
Science, okay? If you're going to go in that field, you have to go to college. And then your decision is, should I go to a bad college or a good college? Should I spend $96,000 going to a bad school or a good school?
Good.
Good, right, okay. So let's put the STEM off to the side. I'm talking about if you're not doing the STEM. Why UNLV is a place you shouldn't go. And I think everybody agrees UNLV is a lot better than CSN, right? Does anybody think
I don't know.
CSN?
I just moved here.
Okay, CSN is College of Southern Nevada. That's like community college. In fact, it is a community college. Okay.
I still start there next semester.
Well,
so I
sometimes you pay for what you
might change
get,
my mind.
and you get what you pay for.
Cheaper
right?
is always better.
Cheaper is always better. So, my daughter goes to the thing, and the Navy says, you're crazy if you go in debt to go to college. And the schools she's looking at were not $16,000 a year, they were more like $40,000.
Jeez.
Okay? How much do you think Stanford is? Or Harvard? They're a lot more than that. Okay, so anyway. So she gets in, the Navy says if you join the Navy, we're sort of unique, if you join the Navy, you take your test called what? ASVAB. And depending upon how you do, we tell you what you qualify for. Then we'll sign a contract with you that says that's the job you're going to get. If you get through basic training, you're going to have that job or you can get out of the Navy. Or historically, the Army system, somebody told me they don't do this anymore. The Navy said they do. But somebody told me in the Army, you go to basic training and then when you're done, they say, here's what you're going to do. Here's your job. Navy says, no, we agree, we sign a contract with you. here's your job when you get out of basic training. So my daughter did well enough to get into naval intelligence. But she's not 18. So that meant what? So I'm down there, they're printing the papers, and I'm just chit-chatting, and I say, hey, from UNLV that go to Navy flight school to be a Navy pilot, because you have to have an undergraduate degree. And they said, no, not really. I said, really? You don't get people from UNLV that want to go to Navy flight school? You sign people up right out of high school, but you don't get anybody out of college that wants to be a Navy pilot? Really? He said, yeah. I said, well, why? He said, because the Navy won't accept anybody from UNLV. It's a third-tier school. Now, if you don't believe me, call the recruiting office and say, hey, I just graduated from UNLV. Can I go to Navy? Or call and say, I just graduated from college. I want to join. I want to be a Navy pilot. Say it like that. I want to be a pilot. So you think you really want to do it. And they're going to say, cool. Where'd you graduate from? And you say UNLV. Oh, well, sorry. That we don't accept you. Now, I'm not blaming UNLV. The fact is, the state of Nevada was the highest growing population for 25 years. And it started really small, and it grew. And the infrastructure could not keep up with the population, and it still hasn't kept up. In K through 12, do you know where Nevada rates K through 12?
We're almost the worst.
Okay. Last year we were ranked number 51, behind Washington, D.C. Okay. This year they're celebrating, saying we're on our way back. We're now number 50. We just got better than New Mexico. Okay. Now, if you talk to a teacher, they're not going to say, "Well, we suck," because part of the problem was when you have fast growth, people become teachers here who couldn't get a job anywhere else. We just, hey, by law we have to educate these kids. We need teachers. If we bring, you're not a good teacher, but if we bring you in, other teachers will help you become a good teacher. They have no choice. You've got your degree. You have your license, you have whatever. We need teachers. Maybe you're going to get better, but then you get in the union, we can't fire you. And then I guess you need, so the teachers never say, we're number 51 for 50 because we suck. That's true. What are they going to say?
We're better than Puerto Rico.
No. They say, it's not our fault. Okay? It's not our fault. You can't teach kids who are homeless or don't have a stable home life. They don't have food, clothing, shelter. They don't know what's going on. They might be living out of a car. They're afraid. You can't teach those people, which is true. But they lead you to believe that's what everybody's like. And there are a lot of people, but there's 25,000 people a year get out of the 12th grade in Clark County. Okay, 20,000 of those people are not afraid of where's my next meal going to come from? Are we going to be living out of, there might be 5,000, which is a huge number, but that doesn't drop it down to the worst. So the first thing they'll say is it's not our fault, it's the parents' fault. Okay, and then they'll say, we don't have enough money. We don't have enough money. We need more money. But if, let's say, Nevada ranks number 25 in money that they get per student, shouldn't they be like number 25 in production? Right? Okay, so they are right in the middle of money, but they're at the bottom in terms of production. So it's not really the money. We don't have enough schools. Well, wait a second. This is a 24-hour town. How about if we have a few schools where kids go to school at night because the parents work during the day, or the parents work at night, So wouldn't it be better for the kids to work at night? If I worked at night, I would want my kids to go to school at night, because if I worked at night and they went to school during the day, when would I see them? Never, right? What do you think happens when you say to the school board, why don't we have some schools that are night schools?
Well, it's dangerous.
They'd say no. Well, why not? These schools, nobody's using these schools at night. Well, yeah, but that's Miss Smith's classroom, and you know, she's got her stuff, and huh? Cuckoo. Okay, so UNLV says don't blame us. You can't turn a pig's ear into a silk purse. We get people who are not really qualified. They're at the last in the country, K through 12. They're at the very bottom. Don't blame us that our school is no good. That's what they say at UNLV. So I'm not blaming UNLV. They're the victim of circumstances. But that doesn't mean you should go there just because they have an excuse of why they're a bad school. And I know there's this trap that if you decide I'm going to go to school in California, now what?
Now you're paying out-of-state tuition.
Now you're going to pay out-of-state tuition, so you're sort of trapped here. And the other thing that happens is that really good students that get Millennium Scholarships, where do they go?
To the school that got the scholarship from?
Yeah, they go out of state. And what typically happens when they get out?
They're screwed because they didn't learn enough here.
No, they don't come back.
Oh.
So it's called a brain drain. So this cycle keeps getting perpetuated, which is why we don't have a lot of high tech here. Because if you happen to be really good and you got good scores on the AP and the SAT and all that, you get an offered scholarship to go to Stanford or Yale or Harvard, you probably won't come back. So the good people leave and the bad people can't leave, because what happens if you want to go to school out of state?
Tuition.
Out of state tuition, it's an extra $10,000 a year. Okay, so this guy, Nolan Bushnell, said this system is really screwed up. It used to be like when I was going to college, even when I was going to law school, I could afford to work and go to school at the same time. Nobody can do this. Virtually no one can go to school full time and make an extra $16,000 to be able to go to school.
They got payment plans and stuff.
Yeah, but that's called debt.
Right.
Okay? You don't want to get out of college owing $96,000, even $50,000. So
Right.
Nolan said, here's the problem with college. It takes too long, it's too expensive, and it's mostly not relevant. So he said, I'm going to create a school called SNAP, and it's going to take 9 months, and you're going to learn exactly what you need to learn to go into business for yourself. So again, we're talking about non-STEM. So what do you think you need to know to go into business for yourself?
How to run a business.
Well, what do you need to know to know? What do you need to learn to know how to run a business? So I'll just pass these out, and we'll just go through them one at a time. Pass those. Okay. So just go to the middle, or go to here.
It's funny because even in high school, they didn't teach you like they teach you stuff that mostly they wouldn't help you in real life today.
Because high school is not designed for teaching you to go out into business. It's designed to teach you to go to college. And you what? Okay. So today, when you get out of high school, what are your choices? College, work, or military, or
Be a bum.
where do I teach?
Larson Training Center.
Yeah, but who do we teach? Where do we teach?
At the gym.
In the prison. Okay, so you can decide you're going to be an outlaw, right? Go to college, get a job, go to the military, do nothing, and probably become an outlaw because you got into drugs. You decide you were being outlaw, but you got into drugs and you needed to do things to break the law to be able to afford drugs. So, starting at the bottom, you go to SNAP, you learn accounting. You learn QuickBooks. You get to take a QuickBooks certificate. So you come out and you know accounting. Secondly, business law, contracts, property rights, intellectual property, stuff like that. You learn that. Next, people, HR, hiring, training, managing people. You learn marketing, how to sell your idea. Funding, where do I get the money for this? Media, how do I let everybody know that I have this? Technology, how do I do it? And the future, what's coming? After 9 months, you now know all these things. If you decide you're going to go to UNLV and go into business after 1 year of this, do you think it would take 6 years to get out of there?
No,
No, you get out in less than 4.
you'll be passing everyone there.
You would be, this is like an MBA from the guy who's changed life fundamentally twice. The guy who invented Atari and the guy who invented Chuck E. Cheese.
So what's the cost of this?
A lot less than this. The cost of this is $6,000. But now go to the front page. What does it say here? What's that say? Better, faster, and no debt. Because we have employers who will hire people in the school and pay them enough that their tuition is paid. That they can go to school, have a job, go to school, and get paid. And it's what's called a best practices employer. So the things you learn there are the right way to do stuff. As opposed to Jack, who works at a tire shop, that doesn't tell him, make sure you come back with the money.
No, they told me either have you sign for it or get the cash.
Okay, but
And
so
did
he got
both.
fired, or you're on suspension, right? Because they changed the rules on you or something, right?
I got played.
Okay. Not a good company to work for, right?
Not anymore.
Where you think they screwed you over, right? Because you did what you were told to do, right?
Yeah,
Okay. There's ambiguity. And who suffered?
me.
Yeah, because they got their money, right? So, not a best practices employer. Versus, and it wasn't a Goodyear store or any place like that, right? It was like Joe's.
Pops tires.
Okay, there you go. Okay. We do things the old-fashioned way, right? Is their approach probably? Yeah.
Is this out of pocket?
What do you mean?
Like, do we pay this?
Pay as you go.
From,
Pay as you go. It's no debt. Money is not an obstacle to this. Don't say I can't go here because of money, because you would be able to. If you're interested in this, don't think that you can't go because of money. Money is not an obstacle for this, because this is designed exactly for people. Because Nolan's fundamental idea is financial security. What's financial security? What's an example?
Having enough money.
To do what?
to do what you want to do?
To do what you want to do. So if you can't buy a plane, you're not financially secure. No, that's not it.
Okay.
Huh?
Be able to pay the
Okay, so you can pay the bills,
not worry about it.
have extra money in the bank, have insurance, right? Have money so you can go on vacation, have money for gifts for people for birthdays and holidays,
Money for when the car breaks.
okay? So you have extra money. That's being financially secure. Most people think that if you have a job, you'll end up being financially secure. But what's the reality? Most people in this country live paycheck to paycheck, and it's getting worse. When I was in school, if your mother had a job, that meant your dad wasn't really. People when I grew up, maybe your parents, certainly your grandparents, mothers didn't work. The dad was able to make enough money at his job so that the mother didn't have to work, and you went on vacation, and you got to go to camp, and you got to do other things. But in the last 20, 30 years, what's happened is almost every mother has to work. And then they're still scrambling, right? Now back when I was young, we didn't have Walmart. People didn't have a lot of stuff. Now what happens is people work during the week so they can do what on weekends?
Buy stuff.
Yeah, buy stuff, go shopping. Why? Because they don't like their job. So I feel better. At Starbucks, 100% of Starbucks' whole business philosophy is we want you to feel this cup of Starbucks is your reward for dealing with all the stuff you've had to deal with. And so people will spend $5, $10 a day, money they really can't afford, to go to Starbucks. Because we need to, because it makes us feel good, because we're not happy with the rest of our day. We're conditioned to believe you have to go to work and you're not supposed to like it. Nolan Bushnell's thing is, no, what you're supposed to do is not be able to tell the difference between are you working or are you having fun. He's very, very active, really active. And he says, when he comes to a place like this, he says, you know what, well, I can't, the things I do, I don't know, I'll do them all the time because I don't know whether it's work or it's fun. If it's my hobby that I'm getting paid to do, or I just love doing it. I do this all day long. Well, how do you do that? And he'll say the easiest way is if you own your own business. And he'll say if you don't own your own business, now you put yourself subservient to someone. You say, would you hire me, please? And then you get to tell me what to do, right?
I have bosses.
Evidently. Okay, that's what Steve Jobs said. And he went out and learned and did what he had to do to start a business. But Nolan says, when you work for somebody, you are, by definition, subservient to them. Now, we also get upset because we say things like, that guy doesn't respect me. My boss doesn't show me respect. Well, guess what? Respect is earned.
Not given.
Okay? Respect shouldn't be part of your equation. It's part of your equation because you start out saying, work sucks. I don't do what I want to do. I do what I have to do because I have to pay bills. So then Starbucks becomes important. Things like respect become important. I need to be respected. If I'm going to do this lousy job, at least they're going to show me respect. So this is a thing to write down. Don't leave home without it. What are the two things? Businesses only care about two things. What's one of them, Jim?
Money.
Too long.
Okay.
Okay? Uriel? What's one of the two things all businesses care about?
Profits.
Progress.
No. Businesses only care about two things. Making money and saving money. That's all they care about. They're going to hire you is for what reason? To make money? So now when you're in your interview, this will always work if you're qualified for the job. And you have to do it like I'm going to show you. You want them to ask you the question, why should we hire you? And what do you say?
So I'm going to make you money, and I'm going to save you money.
Nope. That's like a car commercial. What do you say? Why should we hire you?
Because I can make you more money than.
What would you say if you were not predisposed to think this is a trick question?
My car's got 4 cup holders.
Why should we hire you?
Very hard work.
Tim? Sorry, I just wanted to sleep again. Gotta be fast.
I know.
Why should we hire you? Why should we hire you? How about because I really want the job?
No.
That's your problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that mean? You're going to steal from me? Because you need money that badly? Why should we hire you? Okay, so I have to talk to these people here to say, look, if you're just going to give people a one-day thing of getting a job, here's the one thing everybody needs to know. You want them to ask you, why should we hire you? And you just want to simply say, because I'm going to make you more money than anyone else applying for this job. And you need to say it like that, like you believe it. I'm going to make you more money than anyone else than anyone applying for this job. That's why you should hire me. Because what do they care about? Making money. Everybody's going to say I'm a hard worker. Everybody's going to say I'm dependable. If you say the same things that everybody else says, what happens? It means nothing, right? Why should we hire you? Because I'm alive.
What happens when you don't make more money than?
Then you should. Okay, so now good point. Rule number 1, never, ever, ever start a relationship out on a lie. So you don't even say it unless you believe it's true.
Let's say like I'm gonna be like, for example, I'm applying for a job to be a bag boy at Safeway, and they ask me why should we hire you?
Because I'm going to make you more money. No, you're not.
What am I doing?
Selling yourself.
Because if we wasn't there, then how would you guys make it?
Well, okay, so let's say you're a bag boy and you bag fast. What's going to happen? How's the customer going to feel? Like, let's say you're this bag boy.
Good. I'm like, I can do that myself.
Patient.
I'm not patient. I have somewhere to be.
Could you hurry up, please?
What is the customer going to think of you?
Slow.
Not good.
Yeah.
Who's it going to reflect on?
Uh,
Who's that going to reflect on?
yourself.
The store.
Well, yeah.
Why would they hire this moron? Okay? Versus the person is like, bam, 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 bam. Right? What are you going to say then? Wow, this guy's good. I went to a Subway yesterday. There was a Chinese guy making my sandwich. And he was so good and so fast that I had to say, you know, you really did a good job. How did that make him feel?
Wow.
How did that make me feel when he felt good?
Makes you feel good.
How did it make his manager feel when she overheard me saying that?
Overwhelmed.
Wow.
Okay.
Really?
Not overwhelmed. Not overwhelmed. She felt good too. Okay. Now, what if the guy said, "Well, my job's just to make sandwiches"?
He's gonna still make the sandwich.
No. Even if you're a bag boy, you can make them money. You see something on the ground, you pick it up. You do this, you volunteer, you work fast. And what are they going to do? This guy is good. We need to what? Promote him. This guy is good. Yeah, he can't make us a lot of money as a bagger, but the techniques and the skills and the attitude he has, maybe he needs to be a guy at the check register where he says to people, oh, you know what, by the way, for the next time, we have this a little bit larger size, but you get a little bit more cost, but you get twice as much on aisle 3. How's the customer going to feel? Good.
Grab that one.
Well, no, but they're going to feel good that you care. So you always want them to say, why should we hire you? And the answer is, because I'm going to make you more money than anyone. And if that's not your answer, then you shouldn't be applying for a job there, because you're not there for the right reason. So let's say they ask you the question, why do you want to work here? Why do you want to work here? You don't know why you want to work here?
There.
Think of the place you want to get a job.
Oh,
Okay, why do you want to work here?
because I want to build up my skills, you know, get ahead.
Oh, selfish reasons.
Well,
Okay. Why do you want to work here?
Because I hear the company is the best company.
Why do you want to work here?
So I can save up my money to own my own business one day.
Okay. Why do you want to work here? Why do you want to work for us?
Want to
to save money.
Well, why do you want to work for us? Because you could save money working for them.
I like it.
Well, you don't work here yet. Why do you like it?
Like, I don't know.
Okay, why do you want to work here? Tim?
To have a work experience and get you more money.
Okay, so good speed. Good speed. You want to work for us because you want to make me more money? I don't believe
I said
it.
to get a work experience,
Oh.
get you more money.
Okay. Why do you want to get work experience here?
So I can learn if I don't.
Why
get-
here?
So if I don't get it here, then I can get it somewhere else.
Okay, but why here?
Because the items you're saying.
Why do you want to work here? You can't say, I want to work here in case you don't hire me so I can go somewhere else. That doesn't make sense. Why do you want to work for us? Okay, so this is really the second thing you need to think of for getting jobs. You need to be able to answer the question, why do you want to work here?
Depends what here is.
Wherever the places you're thinking that you want to work.
Because this job fits me.
Okay, I need you to tell me more about that, sir.
I think I could really benefit you.
Now, why do you want to work here?
So I can benefit myself.
What are your reasons for wanting to work for us?
So that I can benefit myself.
Not why should I hire you. What are your reasons for wanting to work for us?
Earn money.
Well, it's not about money, it's to
Okay, but
benefit,
why here? You can earn money over there.
it's to benefit myself and those around me in this company.
Why? Why here versus there? You can do that over there.
Because this specific job has what I want.
Well, they do that too.
Your pay rate's higher.
Okay, so that could be a reason. Why do you want to work for us?
I believe I can put my skills to good use here. Get paid.
Well, you could put your skills to good use over there. Why did you choose us? So one answer could be because I live right down the street.
I chose here because apparently it's a better environment than the others.
It's walking distance.
Okay, so those are reasons. Those are valid reasons. They might not be the best reasons, but those are valid reasons. Because it's close. Because I have a buddy that works here. You told me you learn a lot or whatever. You know, because of specific reasons. And to say, I live across the street, it's convenient, I might really like that. Because if I need you to come in, and you live right across the street, you could solve the problem for me, right? If somebody didn't show up. So that could be a good thing. When I was in law school, a lot of guys that go to law school, what do you think they do for a job while they're in law school? Yeah, a lot of them do, which is not a good thing. What?
Waitress.
Not many guys are waitresses.
Well, not guys. Bartender.
Exactly. You remember that,
Yes.
right? Okay. Why would a guy in law school be a bartender?
Practice talking to people.
That's one reason.
Social skills.
Because it's not that hard. And when you're in
Get
law
out
school, there's a
early.
lot of intense brain stuff.
Yeah, you want to relax.
Relax,
And
have fun,
relax.
be in a place where the only reason people go there is because they want to have a good time. Okay? So if a guy says, why do you want to work for us and you're in law school, what might you say?
You get a break from school.
Yeah, I'm in law school, I need a break from school. Oh, cool. So I know you're smart. You told me you're in law school. I know you're smart. I know you know how to think. I know you can talk to people. You probably know a lot of stuff. Okay, you're not going to last forever because you're going to law school, but I don't care because this is a bar. We have people quitting all the time. But you're probably conscientious. You care about your reputation. My customers will probably like you. If I like you, they'll probably like you. So that's why a lot of guys do it. And it's a break from the sound like thunder.
Dang, like 40.
Thunder or jihad? Which was it?
I say that's thunder.
Okay, I agree. Okay, so
That's not like an explosion.
one question you want them to ask is, why do you want to work here? Another question is, why should we hire you? And they say, why should we hire you? What do you say, Uriel? Why should we hire you?
Because I'm me.
Why should we hire you? Why should we hire you?
because I can make you more money than anyone else.
Yeah, but you have to say it with conviction. You can't say, because I can make you more money than anyone else. Because I can make you more money than anyone else. What am I saying when I do that?
You're saying not really.
Yeah, okay, because now the third thing to know is nonverbal communication is stronger than verbal communication. What's an example of nonverbal communication? Okay, how about when I'm shaking my head this way? I'm saying I can make you more money, but I'm doing this. What are you going to believe? Okay, so we evolved from cavemen who didn't really actually live in caves. We evolved from cavemen, and sight was more important. Most of our, so back to your brain thing, most of what our brain is involved in is in sight, is in seeing. Go home, look it up. And a lot of seeing is not with your eyes. So let's do a thought experiment. Picture your mother in a blue dress. Can you do that? Can you? Okay, everybody can. Now, have you seen your mother in a blue dress?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, picture your mother in a blue dress on the back of a motorcycle. Can you picture that? Have you seen your mother in a blue dress on the back of a motorcycle? Can you picture it?
Yeah.
You might not like the picture, but can you picture it? Okay? Yeah, that's part of seeing. And a huge part of our brain has to do with vision. Another huge can't do is I played baseball. I played baseball in college. A guy hits a baseball. You're in the outfield. You have to run and catch it. We can be running and still focus on a ball. What if you had the most powerful video camera and you're running? What would you see on the screen? Yeah, the ball would not stay in focus. It takes huge processing power to be able to be moving and keeping another moving object stationary. Here's another thing that's interesting. Car sickness. Anybody ever here get car sick? Anybody know anybody that gets car sick? Okay. So they just figured out what's going on up here that causes people to get car sick. So it turns, and by car sickness, I don't mean feeling nauseous. I mean, hey, pull over because I have to throw up, or seasick. So here's what the brain experiences, because we haven't been doing this for very long. You know, human types, we broke off from the primate tree about 1.2 million years ago. So we've been evolving as humanoids for 1.2 million years. But how long have we been like riding on something? A horse, boat, car, plane? Not really long.
A few thousand.
Yeah, okay, not really long. And if you're on a horse or a boat, you know, a small boat, you're not really moving very fast. So what's going on in our brains when we get sick is our brain is getting confused. Because if you're in a car, your body is what? Stationary, right? You're just sitting in a seat. So your body is telling your brain, I'm not moving. But when you're looking around, what's happening? You're moving. And so your brain has to adapt to this, am I moving or not moving? So people usually end up getting car sick, not when they're looking out the window, but when they then start reading something. And your brain gets caught in this confusion of, wait a second, am I moving or not moving? Okay, am I moving or not moving? And our brain's reaction to confusion and stuff is to think we're being poisoned. Because back in the caveman days, what did we have to worry about? Eating food, eating bad food, getting food poisoning. So our body's natural response is to throw up when there's one of these weird situations. So your brain is thinking, I don't know if I'm moving or not moving. It seems like I'm moving, but it seems like I'm not moving. I don't know if I'm moving or not moving. I must be poisoned. Therefore, I have to stop, vomit, get the poison out of me, and then I can move on. That's because of our neurons. And in your inner ear, right, which is how we tell motion, right, besides our eyes, but our inner ear, right? So a lot of things are going on in your inner ear, but you're sitting still. And you're watching stuff fly by, but you're not really moving. So we've got 15 minutes. We didn't really get to talk about the future. So we're going to talk about the future for the last 15 minutes. Because the future is where it is. When I was a kid, there were no area codes. There were no zip codes. There were no seat belts. There was no cable, no internet, no cell phones, no microwave ovens. It was a very simple life. I remember my first telephone number, which was Victor 65110. It wasn't even numbers. The first two letters of your phone number were a word. So what's the letter, the number associated with V on the phone? 8. What's associated with that? The letter I. Victor 6. So my phone number was Victor 65110. Everybody had a phone number in the early 60s. That was a word and then numbers. So what is this number on your phone? What's the number associated with the letter I?
4.
4. Then we got area codes. And then it became 415-846-5110. And then there got to be more things, and then the area code changed. Okay, we didn't have zip codes. You just put the city and state. There was only like 3 or 4 television channels, and people had these really tall antennas on their roof. Or on the top of their TV, and they're always adjusting it to try to get the best picture. It wasn't really that good. And cars didn't have seat belts. And when they first came out, nobody wanted to use a seat belt. It was just a strap. It wasn't a shoulder harness. And they would disconnect their old buzzer, or just leave the seat belt buckled, and not use seat belts. And there were no ATM machines. And when ATM machines first came out, nobody wanted to use them because they thought somebody would come up behind you, bonk you on the head, and take your money, or the bank was going to make a mistake. Okay? If there was a jet in the sky, people would say, hey, there's an airplane. Hey, everybody, there's an airplane. And everybody would go out and look. Okay, what would happen today if I said, hey, there's an airplane out there? Be like, what's wrong with you? There's always an airplane. I always see 7 airplanes. What? Now, what if I said there's a drone? Hey, look, there's a drone.
Everybody would go look.
Everybody would look. Okay. So a lot of things have changed in the last 50 years. More things are going to change in the next 50 years, in the next 20 years, than have changed in the last 100 years. In fact, 10 years ago, what percentage of the population had a smartphone? 10. I know the exact number of people that had a smartphone 10 years ago. I know the exact number. 0. So you remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. They didn't have smartphones 10 years ago. Nobody on this planet had a smartphone 10 years ago.
They had like
Steve Jobs, weird.
Yeah, they had Nextel, which was the walkie-talkie. They had Blackberries, which was the keyboard.
yeah, that could connect to the internet. Those BlackBerries.
Yeah, but that's not a smartphone.
They had games on it.
Yeah, but that's not a smartphone. It didn't have apps.
He had made that way before. There was a picture.
Okay, it's not. There were no smartphones. There were no phones with large screens. Even the first iPhone, remember, had a small screen. It was much smaller than this. But there were no phones that had screens. That was the biggest screen. When the iPhone came out, that was the largest screen on any phone. And people said, "Oh, I give you 2 weeks, and that thing's going to be broken. You'll be back." to having buttons on your phone or a keyboard like BlackBerry.
Sidekick.
Okay, okay, that came later. Okay, that was within the last 7 years. So there were no cell phones, no smartphones. Now, if you go out on the street or you're anywhere where there's a crowd of people, how long does it take to see somebody looking at their phone?
2 seconds, if that.
Yeah. In 10 years, it's gone from not one person on the planet has a cell phone to now it's the point where, like, I have my cell phone out on the table this whole time. Why? Because that's how much life has changed. I need to. Did I need to do that 10 years ago?
No.
Okay. Now, how long did it take before smartphones you had to have one? Like, in other words, was it like this? 10 years ago there was 0, and now it's gone like this, so this is 80%, and this was 0, and this is 10 years, and this is
Well, it took a little bit
year
for it to
0.
catch on.
Huh?
It took a little bit. And then it just.
Exactly, it was like this. So 80% of people probably had them in 4 years. And then the only people who don't have a smartphone are who?
Didn't have the money for it.
Yeah, people who don't have the money. Too expensive. This is the only reason anybody would not have a smartphone today, or you're crazy. Okay, because they do so much. This change in life, from not one person on the planet having a cell phone to now within 2 seconds you'll see somebody, to where the law is you can't hold your phone in the car because everybody's doing it, right? It's change. That change is less than the change that's going to happen in the next 5 years.
A few years later, we made Bluetooth.
Bluetooth has been around for a while, but not like we use it now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what are the big technologies? Drones,
Communications.
Satellites.
drones,
Or drones, robots.
no, things that don't really exist today, that don't need life.
Self-driving cars.
Unself-controlled robots.
Jetsons life.
Okay. These 3 things, plus VR.
Hyperloop.
What about cybernetics? Is that going to be later?
Well, we already have robotics, but so drone is a aerial robot. Self-driving cars. Almost right now, the Teslas are designed that if you go to Walmart, you pull up in front of the Walmart, you get out, you use your phone and you click the app and you say go park. And the car will go park. When you're in the checkout lane, you go to the Tesla app and you say, okay, come back. And your car will come back and will be in front of Walmart, wherever you are. Self-parking. So one day, and the other thing that Tesla says is, the numbers are this. Just, we don't have time to go through it, but take my word for it. The average person uses their car 2 hours a day, less than 2 hours a day. In the future, businesses will say, can we rent your car? Can we use your car? I'll pay you $300 a month to use your car when you're not using it. You don't have to change your life at all. If you need your car, just let me know you need your car. But if you don't need your car, I'm going to pay you $300 a month to use your car when you're not using it.
I'd take it.
Okay?
I know, that's my car. Put
So
miles on my car, now it's going to break.
You're going to get paid for that too, but you're going to get an extra $300.
Why don't you just buy your own car?
So I don't need a car. So my business is going to be this. This is the killer app. Why don't people spend a lot more time in restaurants and clubs at night than they used to?
It's not like go places.
Now, why don't they spend more time in restaurants? You go out to have dinner. Why don't you get drunk or get a little bit?
This is socially unacceptable.
No. People don't do it because they're afraid of getting pulled over by the cops. Because what happens if you get pulled over by the cops?
Lose a lot of
DUI.
privileges.
Do you get a DUI and it's really bad?
Duty.
Okay?
If you have a self-driving car, you won't have to worry about it.
Yes, but it's even better than that. So let's say I have a restaurant, and I say to you, I'll have a car come get you and take you home.
That's a taxi. An Uber.
No, self-driving car, that's too expensive. Because I can't afford to do it if I have to pay for a driver.
So instead, get a free car that actually without a driver.
If I rent your car for $300 a month, how much is that costing me a day?
It's not much at all.
What's 300 divided by 30? 10. Let's say I can use that car for 5 trips, only 5 times that day. In 22 hours, I can only use it 5 times. How much does it cost me per trip?
Maybe like $3, $2.
What's 10 divided by 5?
If you take into consideration gas.
Well, I haven't added that on, but it's 2, maybe $3. Okay? You can't have Uber for $3. But if I'm a restaurant and you buy one more drink, that just paid for my cost of getting you here. Right? Now, if you came with your wife or your pals, and each of you has one more drink. So the killer app, the liquor industry has figured out if the average person just has one more drink when they go out, that equals $31 billion. The killer app, a business that anybody in this room can start, is to say, go, what's Dottie's? It's a little neighborhood bar, casino. Go to Dottie's and say, I'm going to have this service, and you can offer to your people, and you pay me $30 a day, or you pay me $40, you pay me $10 a trip. And now Dottie's advertises, hey, you know what? Come to Dottie's, we'll pick you up and we'll drive you home. We'll drive you wherever you want to go. We'll drop you off, we'll pick you up wherever you want us to pick you up from, and we'll drop you off wherever you want us to drop you off from within 50 miles. Free! What's going to happen to the money Dottie's gets? It's going to go up or down?
Way up.
Way up. What's going to happen to you? So let's say the car is costing you $40 a day altogether. It's 10 plus $30 gas maintenance, etc. $40. And that car, you're charging $10 a trip. Okay? 10 times 10. And you do 10 trips at Dottie's. So that's how much? 100 minus 40, right?
60.
$60 times 7. It's how much? $420 a week. Is that a good business?
Yeah, it is.
Really? $420 a week? Not really. How many Dottie's are there?
Well, no, there's no-
70.
It is.
So you multiply that number by 70, and that's about $30,000 a week. That's a good business. You're not driving the cars. You just went to you went to Dottie's corporate and said, hey, we want to do this thing. I'll provide each store with a car.
And all you have to do is sit back and wait for the money.
And I'll give you these little things. I have an app that you can put on your Dottie's website and your Dottie's app that says, get me a car. And for your customers, if they're a member of your club, your Dottie's club, it's free. You don't even need to worry about Dottie's, because if a guy is out somewhere and he pushes the Dottie's come get me button, where am I going to drop him off? I'm going to pick him up wherever he is. I'm going to drop him off here. Or if he's here, I'm going to bring him wherever he wants to go. But you don't have to worry that I'm going to pick him up here and drop him over there. This app you don't need to even think about, because it's a self-correcting system. If a guy pushes the button, I'm either going to pick him up and bring him to you, or I'm going to pick him up at your store and bring him wherever he wants to go. What do you care if he wants to go home or somewhere else? It doesn't matter to you. But you don't have to worry because that guy's either coming to Dottie's or leaving Dottie's. So he's either going to spend money or he's spent money. Are there other places besides Dottie's you could do this business in?
Yeah.
Where?
Hotels.
A million places. Yeah. Like hotels are a little bit different. But casinos, restaurants, probably not McDonald's,
Yeah.
but a place where they spend a certain amount of money. This is going to be normal in the next 5 years. This is going to be normal. The question is, why don't you do that business? The answer is no, nobody's doing it. The answer is because I don't know how to do it. It seems like it's a lot of work. Right. So this is how you do it. Well, what else are you going to do in your life? This is an opportunity to spend 1 year going to school, not going into debt. You go to school and you come out a person who now ends up having financial security because they own their own business. My favorite business here is drones that deliver donuts. A lot of people buy boxes of donuts. Do you guys ever have donuts at work? Okay, well, a lot of Midas places, they have donuts for their customers. Somebody has to go get the donuts. Okay, what if the donuts came to you?
Pizza.
Pizza would be another one. I talked to Metro about this idea. They said, oh, wow. So they will deliver the donuts to our squad car. We didn't even have to walk in the donut shop anymore. Swear to God, that's what they said here. And another cop said, oh, so wait, they can deliver the donuts to the crime scene. Like you see in the movies, right? Crime scene, hey, go get donuts. Go get. Guess what? That can all be done. Will be done
No.
in the future. And everybody here can do this. Tire stores, this, and these things.
What's a Hyperloop?
The Hyperloop is the 700-mile-an-hour train that gets you from LA to here in 30 minutes. It costs less than driving.
And what's the deal?
There's a company.
Virtual reality. So this is going to revolutionize stuff. So you're not going to learn about the Civil War in school. You're going to be in the Civil War in school. Okay, you're not going to learn about biology, how the heart works. You're going to be inside of the heart.
Osmosis Jones.
Okay. Now, if you're not prepared, you're going to be one of the people that doesn't get employed. That's the big problem that these guys are trying to figure out. What do we do now? So you'll have to come back next week to find out the answer to that.